Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to something a little bit different on this channel. Hope you like the new look. We are starting off with San Jose by Night, City of Glass. And we're going to end up doing our session 0. So, allow me to read. For those who don't know, it's a short one, but we'll try and keep it relatively pithy. During the early 2000s, the Second Inquisition had made its presence known. With the fall of Detroit and London, it was clear that humankind has not only become aware, but have actively targeted major kindred institutions. Paired with the death of Hardstadt by Theo Bell, the Anarchs have been ejected from the Camarilla, now becoming inactive in their attacks on established Camarilla cities like Los Angeles and Jackson. When the situation threatened to boil over in 2015 in San Jose, there was a distinct worry the city would fall to either the Second Inquisition or the ongoing presence of the larger Anarch threat. Ancilla and elders burned in their havens, and their children have been made examples of, and a sense of chaos that flooded the streets. This gained the attention of the Second Inquisition, and the situation threatened to be a repeat of the events of Detroit. Prince Camille Annette Harrington had observed the events of the fallen cities, orchestrated a large gamble, showcasing evidence of the attention the conflict had garnered to the Second Inquisition. She made an appeal to the Anarchs. In the spirit of peace, an appeal to sanity in an insane time, I opened my arms to the Anarchs, a wayward childer, to bring them under my roof and shelter them from the oncoming storm. To those who step through the doors of Elysium will find their sins against the kindred near kind pardoned, lest we fall to the fires of a new Inquisition. The Anarchs scoffed at the offer at first, but to the shock of many, Baron Brax, a Brujah whose lineage can be traced back to Theo Bell himself, had crossed through the doors of Elysium the next night. The uproar had caused the Anarchs to escalate their attacks, feeling betrayed. Baron Liana, a member of the Ministry serving as Baron Brax's counterpoint, found her numbers swell overnight. It was not until 2018 when the escalation hit a fiery height, when many Anarchs found their havens and haunts suddenly overwhelmed with what seemed to be Inquisition squads, causing many high-ranking Anarchs to be killed. Baron Brax, now a member of the Camarilla, has stepped forward to appeal to the Anarchs of San Jose, taking the rising of the tide. The inevitability had come. Anarchs stuck in a situation of facing the Second Inquisition alone or going along with the Camarilla felt entrapped. Tensions high, a shocking announcement came from Prince Harrington elevating the former Baron to Seneschal, an olive branch to showcase her sincerity. Words are hard, ladies and gentlemen. Many Anarchs have moved into Elysium, expecting to be gunned down the moment they entered. Instead, they found themselves taking the knee. Now the Camarilla finds its numbers bolstered, but a grand sense of unease fills Elysium these nights. Some suspect the Camarilla will return to its old ways. Others fear the Anarchs will disrupt the Camarilla from within, and at this moment, unity seems uncertain. The Anarchs of Baron Liana have declared open hostilities to the traitors who bent the knee to Prince Harrington. The Second Inquisition continues its hunts, and whispers of old foe comes to shadow halls. Cement the new order. A coterie is formed of the children of both Camarilla loyalists and ex-Anarchs. Is it a showcase of a new age for San Jose? Or some dream birthed from delirium of paranoia and threat of annihilation. Thus, we have our setting. City of glass, no doubt, already cracked and faltering. But heaven help us if it ever breaches. So, with that, everybody, you can see right now we are still waiting for Coffee Cat to arrive. They're running a little late right now. But we are going to end up going down the line. So, how about we start off with some old classics here? And start off with... let's start with Ive, who is playing the Nosferatu Fishmonger. How about you give us a little bit of a blurb about what's Fishmonger? What is he all about? And what is it that ultimately you're hoping to end up bringing to the Chronicle? I'm going to grab my notepad.
Well, I would say that there's two approaches to this question.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's probably most helpful to you is that I came into this chronicle with the idea of exploring issues of identity and what it means to be, to have basically most of your identity ripped away from you. How you struggle to either rebuild it or try and reclaim the parts you lost. The biggest, I think, decision I made for this was to take the known corpse law, which basically literally means my character calls himself Fishmonger now, has been forcibly divorced, basically, from his old life. And so now he has to kind of deal with that. That's what I'm most looking forward to.
Okay. Alright, that gives us a quick blurb. Let us move on to Ravenstar, who's playing Lila. Now, the same kind of goes for you. When it comes down to Lila, what are you hoping to end up kind of exploring? What are particular notes of the character?
Well, I'm looking forward to, Lila is someone who is walking that fine line between humanity and the beast, being Gangrel. But she's also walking that line between what it means to be in the Camarilla and what could remain of her sire's old Anarch beliefs. So that should be fun to explore.
Okay. And so your sire still holds Anarch beliefs?
Yeah, possibly. Rosita joined into the cam not really fully believing them, but looking for maybe a better opportunity. If it goes well, hey, she's on the right side. Shoe drops, well, she's going to be one of the first on the front lines.
So almost they'll just treat us as dispensable the moment that they can.
Yeah. Exactly.
A fully understandable position for an Anarch who finds themselves in a situation of uncomfortable convenience, shall we say.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go to Volvo, who is playing Doc Saturday.
So, there are multiple things kind of come along as baggage with Doc Saturday. He
being Sabisi definitely hurts that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's not originally from San Jose, but he has been in the city for a good while, about a decade.
Okay, you're talking as far as his mortal life.
As far as his mortal.
Okay. So where is he from? Where does he hail from?
He originally hails from New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Originally, he was a doctor.
Mhm.
He still is somewhat, but there's a reason why he's no longer in New Orleans. And a bit of that baggage might be in the following him to San Jose.
Hmm.
The overall
Go ahead.
Oh. The overall story with Doc is having to deal with remnant. How do I put this?
No, it's all good. We finally, and if you haven't had Coffee Cat able to make it, fantastic!
Yay!
Yay! Now it's just
Welcome in, Coffee.
Yay!
now it's just a quick
yeah,
edit on
Coffee.
a few things, and me and Coffee are gonna have to work a little bit later on afterwards to end up setting some stuff up. But now we got Coffee Cat in here. That is a fantastic start. You guys, you're gonna have to give me a second, Volvo, because I gotta just reorganize a few things. Just to.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh,
It's
wonderful.
okay. You feeling all right?
Consensual cuddle raid. Well, we got caught with our trousers down. So, hello, Raiders.
Hello, Raider.
Whoa! Hey, Miss. Welcome. Yeah, awkward moment where camera's done broke, so I'm just fixing that up right now. And how are you doing? How's it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be on camera. I'm a mess.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. So
Okay.
if that's the case, let me just reorganize a few things. And I will make it a point. I've never been caught with a camera fail. Why do I have a feeling that that's a filthy lie? A wonderful, horrible, filthy lie.
The PR spin.
Yep, sus. That is accurate to end of saying. Well, Coffee, thanks very much for making it out, nevertheless. Right now I am just doing the whole trying to quickly adjust everything and hope that it all works out.
Yeah, I woke up with something like stuck in my eye today, and now my eye is just super fucking irritated.
Aw,
Oh, yeah, that happened to me recently too.
ouch. That's always the worst. Well, don't worry about that, Coffee. We'll end up making it work some way or another. You know me, I'm not too dissuaded by minor inconveniences, such as having my eye gouged.
With a rusty blade.
Oh,
Yeah, basically how it feels, right?
Yep, been there more
Yeah.
times than I care to admit. So let me just get all of this set.
Besides, you fuckers know what I look like.
Yeah, but it's one of those situations where it's just not the same without you. But
Right.
we will get this. There we go, all fixed.
Hey,
So, Miss Mizui, this is session 0. Quite literally, we're here just talking characters. I'm getting a sense of what it is that's expected of the characters. We've already done Fishmonger and Lila, played respectively by Ivalon and Ravenstar. And we're currently just setting up the tone, as it were. I just ran through the intro explaining the situation. A very awkward stance that is currently here being played out and is the reason for the foundation of this new coterie. So, we'll end up seeing how that works out in due time, I have no doubt. Okay, so Doc's comes in from New Orleans. Now, been a doctor for a while, what are we looking to kind of delve into when it comes down to Doc? What are you hoping to explore a bit with it?
I'm hoping to explore a bit of the so we have Kindred and they're naturally walking disaster.
Oh yeah, they're
Doc's
Yeah.
Doc's purpose is trying to mitigate as much of that and help clean up situations that have inevitably come to horrible disasters. But
well,
also,
that's the hope anyway.
That's
But
the hope.
he is a Zabisi, so it's just likely he'll be that horrible disaster. Let's be real.
Oh.
Right. And going into being a part of a underground organization, just being the person that people go to for, hey, I got shot and I kind of don't want to go to the cop.
Yep, definitely
is something
important
he's
thing.
gonna deal with on the daily. So having to make sure that he keeps his business going smoothly while also having to deal with constant problems flowing in is the kind of appeal. Along with a bit of something not quite right always follows Doc. Bad time seems to chase after.
Okay, that ends up helping a fair amount. Alright, so let's move on then to... Let's do Susie, played by Lethality.
Alright.
Yeah.
So, Susie. I think the thing that I'm looking to explore with her most is the story of the quote-unquote street man in the world gone insane. The subversion of this is that there is no straight man in this story, and she's just as crazy as the rest of them, if not more so. And coming to grips with the fact that I really like to think that I'm nothing, that I'm very different and nothing like the rest of these people around me. But the truth is that I'm exactly like them, and, well, with everything that entails.
Fair enough.
The reconciliation of an insane woman with an even insaner world in a structure of glass, so no one better cast any stones.
Okay. So, what do you think Susie's bringing to the table in this regard?
In the regard of,
So, beforehand, like I asked what everybody was looking to end up exploring. I'm also looking for the angles. So, a simple example, right? Fishmonger has to end up dealing with not only this loss of not only their face, but who they are. They're a known corpse, and that becomes the driving factor there. Lila is trying to find this balance between humanity and the beast while having his sire that eggs on anarch beliefs. Doc ends up hailing from New Orleans and has spent most of his life kind of in the shadows in that regard, almost like a mob doctor situation. And also involves cleanup, but has that issue of being, well, Tzimisce. That's not going to help things, right? So I'm looking at Susie as the only sane person in an insane world. But what is the catalyst? What's that jumping off point?
well, the catalyst for that really comes down to the thought of her being the quote unquote street woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's a delusional thought. It's this sort of vain hope. She's Malkavian, obviously, so there's this delusion that is sort of not really granted to her, but catalyzed by the fact that she is Malkavian, because that is something that the clan Bane and something that it very much tends to is that it'll exacerbate pardon, it'll exacerbate things that are already there. Even before her embrace, she thought that she was, she was a shining light in the darkness, so to speak. Not in any good moral sense, because God knows anyone has any morals these days, but in the sense of everyone's crazy, and I'm the straight woman. When that was never the case, and now that she is of the kindred persuasion, specifically of the Malkavian persuasion, not only has that never been more of a falsehood, the lie is fed even more by her own head.
Okay, so we'll see what we can end up playing with that. Probably one of the more trickier characters to ST4, but we'll end up seeing on what we can make out of this. So
Be interesting. Oh,
go ahead.
I just said I'd be interested in knowing, how exactly she tells herself. Like, what is the lie that she tells herself? What does she cling to as an example of sanity?
Well, as an example of sanity, the things that she clings to isn't in people; it's in objects. Specifically, in the things that she creates. She's a technician. She's a scientist. She's an engineer. She makes things. Usually, things that have some sort of effect that may or may not be destructive at times. All I could say is that there is a lot of property damage in her past, and likely a lot of property damage in her future. It is, unfortunately, what she's quite good at.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's move on to Elliot Jones. So why don't we end up starting off with that, as played by Keys, who's new to our community, and if you'll pardon the pun, I've fresh fish.
The fresh fish. I am bringing to the coterie Elliot Jones, a coroner on a quest to find the true reasoning behind the mysterious death of his sister. But doing so has found himself recently turned into a vampire of the let me double check here. I believe I did the Tremere.
My favorite.
Thus, being both new to vampire and, well, Elliot is a freshly embraced Tremere. My apologies. It's both a story of learning the new way of life as a vampire while also trying to find the truth.
Okay. I can see a few things that we can end up pulling in from there. So is Elliot still a practicing coroner, or did they have to end up leaving given the fact that now they are restricted to nightly duties? And, well, let's be honest here. Work-life balance is difficult when you can't be exposed to the sun. I should know.
I'd say he's been able to get himself into the night job of it, where he's more disposing of the bodies more than he is going out and retrieving them.
Okay. That gives me a few notes to play around with. So let us start off here with... Well, let's end up jumping into Summer. Now, Summer is played by Coffee Cat, and... Hey, Coffee Cat, you good to go?
Yes, Summer is a recently embraced Ventru. She early in her life, she had aspirations to be a gymnast, but that all kind of fell apart when she started getting chronic pain disorders and had to go on painkillers and was pretty doped up most of the rest of her childhood. And after sort of dealing with a habit that was that it kind of happened after that, she found herself in love with electronics and how they work and how to build them, and went to college for it, got a degree in it, had a job for it, and eventually met Owen Vaughn, her sire, and so that's kind of the basic gist of her backstory. It was a meeting of happenstance, and he embraced her Ventru. So she's also kind of this fish out of water, where she's new to the vampire curse, but her curse is more or less forcing her to wear two different masks, one which is brought on by the blood and one which is brought on by her natural sensibilities, and they kind of are in opposition to each other, and she has to make both work.
Okay, so this is a case of you now. Are you holding multiple masks in that regard, or are you still?
No.
Will she be developing these, or is that's effectively what you're describing, right?
She goes by Summer now, but that's not her real name.
Mm-hmm.
In all of Kindred Society, she goes by Summer, and this is a name she picked for herself as a result of becoming a vampire.
Very much a character who is focused on prestation.
Yes. Yeah, she's definitely hiding everything that it is that was her human life. She still connects with those people on a regular basis, but she's trying desperately to keep the two lives separate.
Which is interesting, because we have this character we have on their tagline is Summer. So the question then, and I guess, is that do they end up finding that Summer is the closer to the truth at this point, and is there a dissolving of who they once were? Which is always a good neonate and fledgling story to end up telling. It's a good way to jump off. Okay, so right away, I have a few notes that I can end up writing across. So let us begin by doing something a little bit, well, classic. So let me make a new. This is just going to be a new page to end up working with, and it's going to take us a little while. But let's start off with get some text on here.
Relationship spiderweb.
Yes, the relationship spiderweb. Now this one's going to be surprisingly simplified, and with good reason. So let me just go down the line. And I'm just placing, and now I know you guys on the hip in the viewership can't see it, but really this is just a rough note just to kind of give us a kind of a loose understanding of where everybody stands and what we can end up working with in that regard. Now, this is, for those who've never played Vampire the Masquerade, a kind of loose form allowing us to know how the coterie is generally starting out. Now, this can be something that's tracked openly. The way I run games gets particularly convoluted and is very rarely just a simple bar of, okay, now all of a sudden you're good with them. That could change literally on a dime. So I'm not going to focus too much on that, but I do want to end up having at least a rudimentary understanding of what is going on. Okay, so here we have all of our characters. And so right away, at best, you guys may have met each other for 2, maybe 3 nights before our beginning night, where you will be presented and formally announced. But this is something that has been working up. You have either been met collectively or individually, as has been viewed as just and correct by the Camarilla. So, where are we starting? Just off of what you've heard described, or maybe actually it's better to start off with going around the clock here. So we're going to start off with Summer first. Summer, what is it when they first meet you, would they know? Like, maybe just how you dress, how you hold yourself. Give us a sense of who Summer is on first greet.
When you first meet her, she's very polite. She's very charismatic. She's very pretty. But she kind of plays all of that down in sort of wearing mostly casual clothes. She presents herself as very approachable, and every one of you would have probably, noticed that yeah, she is very pretty to look at. She has a way with words. She's definitely, she wants to get on your good side, and so she
kind of a people pleaser in that regard.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But also kind of stands, proud and firm in herself. She seems confident.
Okay. Let's move on then to Doc Saturday. Doc, when somebody first meets you, what's the impression they get? What did they see? How do they act?
Usually when someone first meets Doc Saturday, Doc gives off a very charismatic, but also stern, measured. He's being polite, but just being around him gives a unnerving feeling. He usually dresses in a normal suit, other than that sometimes he is in more casual wear, but there's only been one occasion where most people have him dressed casual. He's more of a professional at all time.
Okay. All right. I can understand that. Let's move on to Elliot Jones. So, Elliot, what is it like when somebody first meets you?
You would get the sense of unease because he's not very much of a people person. He tries to stay away while still wearing his lab coat that he wears during his time as a coroner. He prefers to just get away from people if he has an opportunity.
Okay, so you kind of see him wearing a lab coat a lot. Okay. Well, okay. Sorry, just taking quick notes. And we're gonna moving on to Susie. So what do people? What's everybody's first impression, maybe, if they end up running across Susie?
So, Susie might come off as can tend to come off as very laissez-faire and very very condescending to most people. Especially those that she doesn't see as her intellectual equal in anything. Unfortunately, that tends to be most of the general population. But when you see her physically, she's kind of not all that assuming. She's dressed relatively plainly. She doesn't make a big note of herself, and really, it just looks like she doesn't want to be there in front of anybody.
I know more than a few people who that could describe, so hey, glad to know that. So let's talk about Fishmonger for a second.
First impressions of Fishmonger?
Yeah.
He's a fucking Nosferatu. It's usually people's first impressions. What it means for him, he's got these jagged, sharp teeth that are kind of accented by underbite that he didn't quite have in life. He's got pretty much a bald head with very thin wisps of white hair coming out at random spots. He generally views himself as an everyman, and so he tries to be unassuming. But he's kind of built a little big from the heavy manual labor he used to do when he was human. And so he's kind of got this juxtaposition of, somewhat threatening, disgusting presence, but also being someone who is kind of easygoing and just laid back most of the time.
Okay. Well, that helps a lot. So that ends up leaving Lila. So what's Lila like on first meet?
Well, at first glance, probably equate her with like some sort of pseudo-punk. She's got part of her head shaved, a couple different piercings in her ears. Leather jacket, all that. But people kind of realize pretty quickly she's more laid back. She knows she looks good, but she is still pretty laid back, casual about everything. Until she gets put on a job, then she's pretty focused in on it.
Well, just making notes. Thing that every good ST should be doing, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
And I don't think I do near enough. Okay, we got that. So, let's start off then with... Well, who'd like to go first? Who thinks they have a semblance of what and who they're dealing with at this point? And we will mark the... we will end up marking it all with just a gradient of positive first impressions, hit neutral, and a little bit off. Obviously, you don't know each other well enough to know to despise one another. That will come in time. But until we get there, I'd like to be able to end up getting some general first thoughts.
I have a general first thought for Summer for Fishmonger.
Okay.
You want to give him a hug?
Essentially, she looks upon him and finds that the curse really did do him dirty. As she's coming to know about all Nosferatu, she kind of pities them a little bit in the looks department. And it's still the case with Fishmonger. She may not have met very many Nosferatu, but she's definitely feeling like at the very least she should be kind to him. Maybe not especially kinder, but definitely definitely is kind of. You get a sense that maybe there's a little bit of a pity party coming off of her from
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun.
Any other associations that jump at you right away for Summer?
Raven and I have talked that Summer knows Lila from her childhood,
Okay.
Oh,
but
That
Lila
means
doesn't
you know-
recognize her right yet.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that means Lila would know Summer's true name.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
Lila doesn't recognize her just yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
That's
yet.
fair.
Looks
Because
very
they're-
different.
So
Yeah.
is Lila
Very
more
different.
neutral, or
Quite a few years in between, meetings.
okay?
So.
Does
Yeah.
that mean
It is a little bit more neutral because she recognizes Lila from their childhood, but that was from when both of them were 12 when
Okay.
when Summer had to quit the gymnastics team,
okay?
and
Mhm. And Lila continued on.
yep.
Okay.
Might
Anything
be
else
a-
that's a standout, or
There might be a slight ring of jealousy in that regard, but
fair enough? Fair enough. Okay. Let's then move on to Doc Saturday. Is there any particular relations that just immediately pop into your head?
So, in the immediate sense, Doc would be cordial to Fishmonger,
hmm
just because, from appearance, other than being Nosferatu, it seems like he's built more like a hard worker. So, potentially interesting circumstance
Fair.
led to his death. Summer would be cordial, a person that is, at least seems kind, seems like a person that I can easily work with.
Okay. Is that more of a positive, or is it still neutral? Is that
more
I got
positive.
more positive than
More
Fishmonger?
positive.
Okay.
Yeah. Elliot would be neutral,
Okay.
just because something doesn't feel quite right about them. But also having a uneasy nature as well. I kind of get that, but still neutral. Susie would be
Why will it?
probably negative.
Susie would probably be negative. Okay.
Yes,
Why is
at least
that?
starting off. The condescending manner in how they speak.
Hmm. I can definitely see that getting to somebody of Doc's profession and background. Okay. So let's
And
move on to Elliot, because I know that you want to hammer them all out, but I want to just give here's the few that really jump out, and then we'll flesh out the rest as we go, or presume neutral in that regard.
The first one that would definitely stand out for Elliot would be a negative disposition towards Summer.
oh,
Interesting.
The reason is due to his investigation into this, he's not really counting out anyone who could possibly be the person who did the thing to his sister. And he sees this overwhelmingly nice and outgoing person and is thinking, what's behind that?
So naturally suspicious. Okay.
naturally suspicious. Yeah.
Okay. Any other
He
individual
also
in that
has
regard?
a positive disposition toward Fishmonger
Okay.
because he sees him as a possible source of support if something were to physically go down.
Keep the
Everyone likes the fish.
keep the brawn on your good terms. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Anybody
And
else?
other than that, nothing else really just pops out.
Okay. What about Susie? Any initial thoughts on the board?
Oh yeah. First, neutral to fishmonger. You definitely. I don't know what you've got going on, like up here, and you seem strong and a hard worker, and that's something that I can respect, to an extent. But man, you caught the short end of the stick. I mean, you look like an anglerfish fucked a catcher's mitt, and then that unholy abomination got caught in a grease fire. That entire situation is just a yikes from me, man. Oh.
God damn.
As it should be for most people.
I love that description. You look like an angler, hit fish, they have fucking catcher's mitt, and then got deep fried.
God damn, lethality! You almost fucking killed me over there.
All right.
Weirdly, positive to Doc Saturday. I've always had a soft spot for Southern gentlemen.
All right. Anything else?
Negative to Elliot.
What brought that on?
He smells of blood, death, and entitlement. And I would feel no greater pleasure than using my superior intellect to cut him down a peg or two.
Fair.
Wait.
Fair.
Just quietly, I'm actually threatened.
Okay. So let's go on to Fishmonger. A lot of people looking at Fishmonger, but what's Fishmonger's first impression? Where do you think there's a strong thing going on?
I would like to preface this by saying I'm only going to do it if Coffee's okay with it.
Okay.
But I'd like to have Fishmonger maybe have a little crush or infatuation on Summer. Be like, it must be a crime to look that fine. And, if only I wasn't married.
You smooth criminal.
I'm
You're not
down with
Pause
you're
for
dead.
effect. Yeah, there we go. So this is a interesting little thing, again, for him to struggle with. He still loves his wife. He still thinks he's married. He can still be attracted to, someone else.
Fair.
And
She is very
it's
pretty.
just a crazy side story there. Then, surprisingly, I think looking at Elliot Jones as the other strong relationship, one of my story arcs for Fishmonger is that he wants to, build a new identity, build a new home, and make friends. So his goal for Elliot is to get him to open up and make him into a friend. So I think you would see Elliot positively.
Okay.
Now for the negatives, I don't think Fishmonger particularly likes Susie. Mainly because she can't see past his exterior.
Well, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Yeah, but it's not a matter of what's true or not. It's a matter of perception.
Perception.
Yeah.
That is
His
very
perception is that you're very.
I mean, like
Very
Derek said,
skinny.
these are not hard and fast written in stone. These lines can change during play, but just
Oh,
from
yeah.
what you've described, first impressions, and how you would treat
How you would approach him, yeah.
Fishmonger based on what you think of him, he would probably get the vibe that you don't want to spend a lot of time around him. You probably, don't talk to him one-on-one a lot.
I mean, that
Remember,
is
we've
true,
only
but the
known each
same-
other
that-
for 2 days.
That is
so-
true, but the same could be said for literally anyone.
No, that's true, but strong first impression, strong impression, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Those
Susie's
are
like,
the strong
"People
ones.
hate
I'm
me!"
not quite sure about Lila and the doc yet.
Fair enough, fair enough. So you're not sure about Lila or the doc yet. Okay, so... And that's understandable. And let's be real here. Nah, Doc doesn't make it easy. So let's go on to Lila. Now, Lila, what's your first impressions? Is there any strong impressions that initially come off?
She'd probably be a little neutral to both Summer and Fishmonger. Easygoing personalities can typically get along with each other pretty fine. Straight off the bat would despise Susie. Again, because of the condescending attitude.
Okay.
You only hate her because she's Malkavian. All right. So any other strong relations? Anybody you feel particularly attached to, or?
Not off bat.
Okay. So we got a handful of them here going on. So let's start off with going back to Summer. Now, Summer, what is your feelings towards Doc, Elliot, and Susie? Are those presumably neutral, I would imagine?
Fairly neutral for all three. Susie comes off as condescending, but there could be something more to that. Doc Saturday, it's an odd name, so, a little bit more. There might be some kind of camaraderie there, but with a strange name comes a strange past, possibly, and so there's possibly some skeletons in that closet, maybe literally.
Fair.
And then for Elliot, definitely can appreciate his intelligence, but that sort of creepy vibe that he gives off definitely reminds her of some of the creepy vibes that she used to get at the office.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's go to Doc Saturday then. Doc, what's your thoughts on Lila and... I think Lila's the only one you don't have a thought about at this point.
Right. Fairly neutral.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of these to be neutral, just because no strong impression one way or the other. All right. So Elliot, thoughts on Doc Saturday?
I forgot to have push to talk on. It would be pretty positive for Doc Saturday from Elliot due to being another person in the medical field. He sees him as someone he could go to cover things that he's not good at.
That is a completely fair description. Let me just try that again. Okay. So what are your thoughts on Lila?
That one would be neutral. He doesn't think anything ill or good about her as of yet.
Fair. Okay. And thought on Susie?
Ironically positive. Could it be something of a crush there? Possibly. Could it be that he sees someone who is portraying themselves in a certain way to hide their insecurities? Another as well.
Fair enough. Okay, then I think that covers everybody for you in that regard. So let's go to Susie. Now, Susie, you have already done Doc. So what's your thoughts on Summer?
Neutral.
Okay. What
You
about...
seem
Go ahead.
intelligent, but I'm sorry. Fishmonger lost the face game. You lost the name game.
Oh,
How? Just how did this happen?
My parents were fan of things from the 60s.
Oh, so they were hippies.
Yes.
At this point, I feel like it's obligated that I need to have somebody who was embraced from the Vietnam War just to end up going, fucking hippies.
That'd be hilarious.
I feel like it's almost arbitrary at this point. But that being said, I think the only one we got is Lila.
Yeah, me for Lila. Well, Lila. Positive.
And why is positive?
Because
always
I
love-
like a woman who could break my neck.
Fair enough.
I mean,
Although I'm
Fishmonger
never
could
going to
probably
tell
do
her
that
that.
too.
I'm never going to tell her that. I'm never going to let on that that's the way that I feel. Just no. Positive, and we'll leave it at that.
gotta watch out for those.
Great.
Everybody, we got all of Fishmonger's stuff done, so it just comes down to Lila at that point. So, Lila, what's your thoughts on Doc?
Probably positive. He seems like he's a little bit more easygoing. She'd probably get along with him a little bit more than Summer Fish.
Okay. What about Elliot?
Pretty neutral.
Neutral? Okay.
Despite the uneasy feeling that he gives off, she'd be pretty neutral.
Loving how Lila just doesn't like anybody.
Doesn't
it's
like
not a
anybody,
hate-
and the
It's
only
not
one
hate, grotesque
outrage-
hatred.
the only one she just doesn't like offhand is Susie.
Yeah, so that's the coterie relations. Never had to end up doing a six-way before, but there we go.
First time for everything, Derek.
Yeah, first time for everything. Okay. So,
I love though how the best feeling, aside Elliot's slight infatuation, the best feeling towards Susie is violently neutral.
There's something else going on there, and we're not sure what. It's an act. It's a mask.
oh, that is
It's a lot of
amusing.
things.
There's a lot of things. This is just complications on complications on complications.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
That's Susie's basic.
Our relationship can best be described as tags on Pornhub. All
Our
right.
relationship can best be described as tags on E621.
No.
All right. And the degeneracy continues. That being said,
Do you really expect any less of us?
no, I don't expect anything of you. I've learned better.
Exactly.
You know, and at this point, it's a lot like me getting sprayed with a water bottle like a cat. Like, Derek, did you have expectations? No. But that being said, okay, we got a loose understanding of the coterie. Now, before I even think about branching this off, I'm gonna bring up two things that are a pain in the ass every goddamn time. Okay. So the first one is, we are not leaving this section until we have a coterie name. I'm not dealing with that shit again. It's not happening.
You know what? That's fair.
We're not dealing with that shit again.
That's more than fair. After what happened the last times? Yeah.
Given that we are that we are Camarilla, it's often that we're given that name too, and so
Yep. But I'm willing to end up having you guys choose. I want you guys to have something that you guys have chosen, and then out of character or in character has been forced upon you. So
yes.
It's the
Try-
hardest part.
it's the hardest part about coterie creation. Absolutely.
Well, we kind of know what we're supposed to be, which is a gathering.
Hostages.
Basically,
Where are the
helping us.
hostages?
Bring in
Aren't we
the
the
hostages.
canary in the gilded cage.
We're dolls on a shelf.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
dolls on a shelf.
But you would never be presented as such. That's
No.
what you are, effectively, but that's not what you would be presented as.
No, of course.
No, I think
Our
Brax-
purpose is the unification of the Camarilla finally under under the prince having successfully drawn in the anarchs for our own protection.
Hmm.
And
So-
I'm going to add a new one in everybody's. So right here, coder sheet will be at the very, or near the very top. It's just going to be underneath the Chronicle Primer. If at any point you need to use it, and we will switch right there. Okay. But we need a coterie name.
We do.
My brain immediately goes towards something unity based or gathering based, where we are a collection of those born from different sects.
The menagerie.
I like the word menagerie.
Yeah.
Is there something we could add to that though? Because we're not just the menagerie, because that definitely signifies the word toys.
The only thing I think of is for some reason adding the word tea party. The menagerie tea party.
Wrong button. I didn't break anything. Fine.
Prince's idiots.
Princess idiots.
Oh god,
Yeah.
no.
Maybe another coterie name given to us pejoratively by an elder, or by an anarch, perhaps.
Yeah.
But definitely not what the prince would have given us.
No.
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, yes, welcome, my idiots. Says Prince Harrington.
They call us the princess puppets.
Oh, everybody calls you that. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
That's nothing new.
No,
But,
but there, at the end of it, it is a statement of purpose or a unifying factor, right? But you guys have been grafted into it. But I do want to end up making sure, like, when you end up choosing this name, that it is something that feels like, yeah, this would be definitely decreed by the prince in that regard.
Right,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
All right. As fun as it is sometimes to have a joke name, other times it's like, no, this is actually surprisingly apt. It's one of the reasons I actually love the coterie name Pygmalion. It's a triple entendre.
Episcopalian. Mm-mm. Wow, that's yeah. I would say it would be something unity based or gathering based.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is the hardest part about every single Vampire the Masquerade game. Screw dealing with the Second Inquisition.
It
Not
really-
even worrying with the Anarch uprisings, or the Camarilla invading, or the Sabbat usurping, or the Sadites corrupting. No, it is the creation of the coterie name. That is always the biggest problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Hands
Uh,
down.
I'm just trying to think of.
Mm.
I haven't.
The
I
menagerie
have,
of conviction?
Nah,
Well,
a little bit too
think of-
long.
Think of the what the word menagerie actually means. Go ahead, look it up a dictionary definition. You'll find it kind of fascinating on that use.
Yeah, menagerie, a collection of wild animals kept in captivity for exhibition.
It's apt.
It's apt, but
It might
again,
be a little too on the nose.
this is also one of the
Mm.
hard parts, right? Of understanding that a Because remember, ultimately what you guys are is a kind of just a more political maneuver. Every one of you has been embraced because of this. And
Yep.
it's to showcase, here's something and go, yeah, it kind of puts you on the shelf for the most part, giving you guys very little opportunity outside of it. Unless you fight for it, you find some way to end up being able to do it and not end up causing everybody to outright hate you and then cause some issues, because you got a little bit of leeway, but that's only because of your position. But that position is incredibly fragile. And the last thing you want is to end up making Prince Harrington look like an idiot, but you also don't want to end up pissing off the Seneschal, because ultimately that relationship is motivated by external factors, shall we say. As are most kindred, to
Mainly
be fair.
executive position.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there is a thought that does come to mind.
First time for everything.
Wow, thank you. for
Always
the-
a
thank you
dangerous
for-
pastime.
Yeah, thank you for the show of confidence.
Well, hey, you know what? Figure if the shots are being fired by Susie, yeah, somebody's got to hit back, because I think everybody else in character knows better.
Yeah, fire back at the Valkavian. Now, what about the Sanguine Pact? Because it does represent, it does sound like a name that a prince would give, and that it kind of extols the virtue of, yeah, we are a coterie formed as a representation of the pact between
that they've made, yeah.
that
Yeah.
they've made, that Brax and Harrington have made.
I like that.
And
Yeah.
it's made in blood and of blood
I like it.
from clans
I like
both
it.
traditionally Camarilla, traditionally Anarch, and one that's traditionally Sabat.
How about for posterity's sake?
For posterity's sake, almost seems a little on the nose.
oh, that's really fucking funny though.
Yeah. Just imagine a
I
Toreador
know
coming
I'm
up with
slow.
some goofy names for us. Yep.
I know I'm slow when it took me a second to realize, no, that was the name. This is
Yeah,
coming-
that took me a
was
second.
good.
No, I have to end up laughing a bit, because it kind of reminds me of when I end up telling you guys my favorite Nicolas Cage line.
What is your favorite Nick Cage line?
I just said it.
Ah,
That's the line itself.
Yeah.
Because Willy's Wonderland was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, chat's throwing out some good ones too. Like Specs gave the suggestion of. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was Oh yeah, no, Specs gave the suggestion of the Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass.
Olive Branch is very much on the nose, but it works in the context of the scenario.
Yep.
Yeah.
That one kind of works along the same lines as Sanguine Pact.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very, very much the like describing them as the unity. Kind of even keeps that kind of dangling over their head. Like, this is what you represent. Don't forget.
Okay.
So that's why I like Sanguine
Untouchables.
Pact and Olive Branch. Untouchables?
Yeah.
I just thought of the Dove Concordat.
Let's. Right now, I'm very much leaning towards like either Midnight Menagerie or the Sanguine Pact. Those are the two that caught
Yeah.
my ear. Like those two, I think.
Midnight
work really
Menagerie.
Yeah.
I like Midnight Menagerie.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
There's Chat's little
Okay.
suggestion there.
Yep.
So let's.
Ah, so many good choices. Now we have to
Yeah.
decide.
So many.
The sanguine solution.
God damn it, Specs.
This is not going to
Okay.
end well.
Okay, Specs, all I can tell you is that that's just gonna open up a whole bunch of Nazi jokes. Because I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna be like,
Yeah.
don't make a final solution joke. Don't make a final solution joke. For the love of God, we're on Twitch. Do not make a final solution joke.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah. Do this, do that, do this, do that, reinvest this into here, and it's gone. Ding, ding,
I
ding, ding,
like
ding,
the
ding.
idea of menagerie. It's a fancy word for basically being a
Cage-
zoo.
cage
We're a
animals.
zoo.
You ever zoo?
We're a zoo.
Yes.
We're the cavalcade, because we're a cavalcade of failures and fuck-ups, the lot of us.
Those are always the
Yeah.
best coteries to play in, to be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love playing in those. Like, every one of us. No one gets out alive on this. No, there's some good stuff here. So, okay. There's a few things I need to go over real quick, and this is kind of telling me my workload for the week, to be honest with you. Okay, so right away, let's start off. So Summers is, well, don't want to end up making it too large. Don't want to do it too small either. So Summers' sire is Owen Vaughn.
Mhm.
That's a key thing in a relationship. And that right there is a key NPC. What is a key touchstone for Summer as well?
That would be
Like if we only had to focus on one, there might be others, but I want to just make sure I got the core down.
the key touchstone that she's really trying to embody is that her friend Lorenzo Gutierrez went to war and came back injured, and he kind of embodies the aspect of courage. She is scared in this moment, but she wants to put on that brave face. She desperately wants to really embody that because she admires that about him, and
Mhm.
that's kind of what's keeping her going. The other is kind of a side plot element that's that you know, if it comes up, it comes up. But the fact that she's trying to really be courageous in this sort of wild time that she's in now is kind of what she's looking to embody.
Okay. Now, Lila's sire was Rosita?
Rosita Garcia.
Okay. And who is a touchstone that is very important to Lila?
That would probably be Laura Walsh, a co-worker over at Rosita's bar,
Okay.
a fellow bartender. Very much the face of, you know, don't let stress bother you.
Yep.
She's been bartending a little bit longer.
No, that is fully understandable given your particular proclivities. Now,
Yes.
let's take a look. I'm going to try and hammer this out as much as possible. So, Fishmonger, what's your sire's name again?
Minuet.
Say that again. I think you cut out a bit.
Minuet, like the dance.
Okay. So we'll probably end up going through these a bit more in detail afterwards, but I just want to make sure I have everything core just built out to, because these will be things that we'll probably keep coming back to. And who would you say is your core touchstone?
You're a monster for making me have to choose between his wife and his daughter.
Mhm. Do I kill my wife, or do I end up selling my kid in order to feed my wife? I only have so many mouths to feed. Quickly, adventure!
I guess it would be his daughter.
What's her name?
Anna Novak.
There is no vacancy here. So we will end up working with that. So we got Anna. Dear little Anna. Okay. Susie, who is your sire? You're muted, Lethality.
Thank you. That was actually undecided. Besides sire affiliate, like sire lineage, in terms of their prior sect affiliation. We didn't didn't decide on a name.
Yeah,
or,
it's okay.
or where
It's
they-
right. That's the whole point of this one. For us to end up having the big thing about this is that I do need to end up knowing one. So these are primary things, and I also need to go through with. Well, we'll decide this portion first, but I need to end up making sure that your sires aren't in a far off place. You guys are still bound for the most part by the traditions themselves, and you're still not officially released at this point. You're being recognized at this point, but it's a lot of people are going to say way too fast and all this. I'd be in agreement personally, but unfortunately, political expediency, very rarely a word we use, kind of forces some hands. So
no, they're certainly like in the city and stuff like that. It's just a matter of like who and where exactly is the.
You can always
Is the
random
big
generate a name if you
Yeah.
have the concept already.
nor it's
Well,
something
see,
we
I
can
don't know
flesh. We
about
can
their
flesh out a
origins.
little bit later. It's just I need to end up knowing because these are
Yeah.
we're going to
I
hammer
think
out
that
a
is-
few of these.
I think like the hammering that out a little bit later is a good idea because they're also my Mola. So
All right,
Yes.
so let's. Do you still have a touchstone already? It made at the very least.
yes, I do. I need a name, but unlike the sire, I have concepts,
Okay, so
so that's fine.
all right, so we'll get back. Susie, I'll give
get
you a
you.
chance to get back to that. Let's do Doc because I know right now the Keys is probably panicking. So that being said, Doc, who is your sire?
So my sire goes by the name Madame Van.
Madame.
Yep, Madame Van.
V-A-N-N?
Vampire?
Oh, I heard Van.
Vanth.
Vance.
Yes.
Found. Okay. Nice. All right. About to say, like, we're not going to have a Coach Veratu situation on our hands, are we? 'Cause I will ST a ruling and say, nope, not happening. Okay.
No.
What kind of moron names himself Coach Veratu? Okay. So, touchdowns wise, who's the most important person, mortal wise, that you would end up saying is in your field, so to speak?
The most important, I think, would have to be Nathaniel Jones. But to most people on the streets, he goes by Rook. He
Rook?
is a Rook.
ROOC? Not. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Derek can't spell. That's what that is.
All good.
This is why I'm not a writer, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So that gives us some attachment there. Okay, let's go to Elliot. Elliot, what is your sire's name?
His sire's name is one Elwyn Spade.
Okay. Elwyn Spade. What can you tell us about Elwyn?
That's all I got. All I had was a name.
Okay, we will end up working with that a little bit later then and develop it. Obviously, these things can also be developed in character. It's not uncommon, for instance, if you've ever seen me and Coffee Cat go at it, where we're literally building up backstory literally on the fly as subject to... remember this time? It's like, oh god, why'd you have to bring that up? Yeah, improv's fantastic.
Do a lot of that.
Yeah, so it's not like I need a 12-page backstory for these characters. I just need to
just a basic concept is usually what's a good starting point.
Yeah. Okay, so who is your most important touchstone, would you say?
His most important touchstone is also his only touchstone.
Fantastic.
One Lilith Scott, who is his contact at the police dispatch, who also is an exact lookalike of his dead sister, the one of which he is investigating the murder for.
Mm. Okay. I can imagine on how you end up running into that. I will try and keep that in mind. That might be something I'm going to need to be reminded of, but I'm definitely going to end up taking a look at it. Now let's go to Susie. So, Susie, you come up with anything?
Yes. So for touchstone, Professor Mark Gordon. And he extols the virtue of knowledge, really knowledge at any cost. Someone who Susie very much respects due to the fact that there's no dilly-dallying with things like feelings and how people think. And
Fair enough.
Cold, hard, logical facts. That's a thing that she can get behind.
If it wasn't for the fact we could confirm his heart is beating, we almost think he's a vampire.
Yes.
Did we seriously take a very similar conviction with our touchstones there, lethality?
It's not unusual.
Yeah. And and that's certainly not an unusual thing to have happen.
Yep.
The difference is that Susie goes a little further.
All right.
I see.
Did you come up with a sire name as well?
Yes, I did.
What's in a name? Only what I associate with it, and only I.
Yes. One Hallie Barker is her sire.
Hallie Barker. We will have some fun fleshing you out in the near future, I have no doubt. Okay. So
I was halfway paying attention and I thought you said Halle Berry. I was like, what?
yeah, I was about to say, what? What?
Now
You want to bring in Halle Berry, but no Samuel L. Jackson?
Perfect. Wonderful. Also, that was fucking loud and hurt. Ow.
I'm. That's just funny. I'm sorry. He hurt himself. All right. So, that being said, we have another major thing to end up going over. Now, this is the tough one, which is Chronicle Tenants. So, for those uninitiated, Chronicle Tenants are much like convictions. The core difference being is that they are universal to the rest of the group. They're also the importance of your convictions typically are your convictions will, in some cases, protect you from some of the stains you would receive by breaking a Chronicle Tenant. On the other hand, if you act against your convictions, you end up operating with a stain. So be very careful on that one. So, let's hit. Is there anybody who has a particular chronicle tenant you think that might be poignant?
Yes. It may be controversial, but I think obey authority can be argued to be a pretty strong one in this case.
So in this case, if you ever break against
Disobey an
authority,
order.
it now ends up turning into a stain.
Yes.
Works really well for a Camarilla Chronicle, especially if you're operating in one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, most
Just be
Chronicle
disobey
tenants
authority.
are meant to be, the hurdle that gets you through. So if
Mm-hmm.
you fall, and we all acknowledge this, right? If you just follow the motions, you're really not going to get much out of any place in that regard, which is kind of the point in this regard. So I am going to. I think that would work incredibly well. Does anybody else disagree with that, or? No?
No.
I don't see it presenting much of an issue except if a particular character is finding it morally dubious.
Well,
Let's just say.
it'll always be morally dubious, but the question here ends up coming down to, are you willing to break it? Therein lies the question, right? This is the idea of you having to take on a certainty, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and I think you can easily justify it in this situation of the idea of, yeah, the second you break from authority in that regard, you're also tempting the Second Inquisition, which can cause a lot of damage. So
It's true. It's true. Given the premise.
that's where the guilt, I think, would start to come in.
Start to come in, yeah.
Because unfortunately this city requires it to be operated as a well-ordered machine, and welcome to the horrific tidbits of the Camarilla.
Right. You have to be the cog in the machine that you have to be.
Yeah. So
And we have
I think that's
our
fantastic.
SARS are responsible for us. If we buck the trend, it's their next too.
And
Nope.
for all intents and purposes, your sire might have ended up picking up something that it's like, well, understand that there might be a reason you're here. I can actually make a huge argument for Minuet embracing Fishmonger. Because it's like, well, why would you do that? It's because I need somebody who still thinks like a human being, who actually values what a human being values.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Funny you should say that, but we'll get back to it when we're fleshing out Minuet.
I think it's a good angle. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really do like. I do like the obey authority as a chronicle tenant,
Yeah.
given the premise that we're in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because otherwise, you might be in danger.
Well, what if authority could get you in trouble because kindred are two-faced, like the drow? Yeah, that's the point. That is literally the point, because sometimes you're going to have to do something against the chronicle tenant that gets you through. Sometimes you're going to have to break something, but ultimately here is where we're guiding, and this is what we're also having to contend with. And in this regard, right, if given the theme of the coterie and how it was made and why it was made, this whole bit is not trying to let things shatter, it's trying to hold it together. And unfortunately, the more you try and hold things together, the more authoritarian, the more tyrannical, the more fascistic it becomes. So that's just the nature of the Camarilla. So works well in presenting that, and if you want to buck it, if you want to buck that trend, yeah, okay, you have to do that knowing that this might cost you something.
Mhm.
And I think that plays very much into the theme that we're playing. You have a good one here, Black Wolf. Thanks very much for stopping by. Hard time going against what you have been taught and need the willpower and decision to make. Yep. It is. And this is where we have this is where you got to end up figuring out, like, what are you using as a guide, right? And one of the things is that, and all the players know this, is if they just follow the orders given from on high, fact of the matter is they're not going to get anywhere. Not in the pecking order. They're not going to receive any additional blood or anything like that. They don't have a lot of wiggle room. So they kind of have to bucket, but they have to be very careful in how they do so. Right? And this is that general, trying not to
It's
cast
trying
stones.
to do the obey, but not the obey and the obey, but kind of a deal where
Yeah, and that's where the
you know-
convictions come in.
Yep.
That's exactly. So it really helps. I think it really is a good one for this chronicle because it really helps make your convictions so much more important, and in doing so,
Right.
your touchstones so much more important. So I do love that. I don't think you're right in controversy. I think you literally hit on one of the best ones we could have picked for this chronicle. But I'm
Yeah,
struggling to think of the second one.
Well, you have your usual don't kill.
along those
Yeah.
lines. Yeah, don't
Oh.
kill is very strong. A very strong contender in that killings from these vampires is going to draw attention because, like we were saying in the premise and in the title of the game, the city is made of glass. It is fragile, and so any bucking of the road, whether this person deserved it or not, any deaths
Mhm.
are gonna get looked at by enemies of any kind.
It also sets up a really nice conflict where your authority figure tells you, go kill this guy.
Yep.
And
No,
then you're like, what?
Yeah.
It does.
Yep.
And there,
Mhm.
like, you might be able, because I will treat a Chronicle Tenant as bucking. So, for instance, if you killed somebody on the orders of the Prince, normally, because it's premeditated at that point, it's a 3-point stain. I would reduce it to a 2. I would literally treat a Chronicle Tenant the same way you would a conviction. Right?
Because it would be in service too. Yeah.
Yeah. Is a good scenario? No, it's but that's what Vampire does. It erodes who you are. It erodes your humanity. And in that, I think works really well. And I do like the fact that your line of thinking on this is just focusing on, okay, let's build these Chronicle Tenants so that they are in service to the theme that we are playing in San Jose. I do love that. Also, I love Obey Authority because there's actually a hidden piece there. That means every breach of a tradition is also a stain.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Yes.
like that. I like that a lot.
Because
I
those
did not
are
actually
laws.
think of that. That's
Those are the laws of the land.
Well, because what makes Camarilla games very different from Anarch games is they are incredibly rigid. And it's not you trying to break that rigidity, it's you trying to find those little nooks and crannies, those little bits of crumbs and all that in between the lines that allows you to accrue anything. And you're going to get a few opportunities to pick up some table scraps, but if you want to be a mover and shaker, you need to end up finding some way to end up getting around this system.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yep.
that's really where I think the story, as far as like you in the city, not personal stories, but you as a coterie in the city developing, is really going to take place.
Right.
So I like those. I like those two right away.
Yep.
So what do you? What do you guys think so far? Like, so Obey Authority and Thou Shalt Not Kill plays very well into this style, and it's definitely, keeping your hands tied in a lot of things. Like, you have to choose something. So.
Hmm.
For a third one?
Yeah, third one. That's going to be difficult.
And I feel like I led with the strongest, and now people are having
no.
trouble following me up.
No,
Well,
you want to know what? I'm glad you did. I'm glad you
Yeah.
did, because now it's like
Mhm.
anything else is just like, it's a little bit of flavoring, but that right there,
Yeah.
that's the core meal.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to add a little bit to that flavor, my mind kind of immediately went to I just had it. And now it's left me.
I
Um,
have one, but I'm not it kind of plays with and against what we have here. But I think it'll be fascinating because of just like how, remember, we're playing a very hardline Camarilla game here, right? So
right.
the masquerade is not a fucking suggestion here, right?
No.
Right.
But in service to that, the guilty must be punished.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which adds that
Yeah.
little bit of an anarch flavor to it, but
A little
it's,
anarch twist, yeah.
but it also plays along with the idea that you see somebody who is actively screwing around with the hip, with the traditions. We can't let that slide. We
Yep.
cannot let that
Can't let
slide.
it slide.
But you know, the flip side of it is when you end up seeing this grotesque abuse of power and position that is self-serving, not to the Camarilla. Now you have an incentive to say, yeah, you know what? If the traditions don't protect against this, then no, we're willing to end up doing it. So I think that adds just that little bit of an anarch twist into it,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, how far can you push it? What constitutes as the punishment? If you can't kill, what do you got to do?
Right.
Right.
So now all of a sudden it's this game of intrigue that can end up going, but you guys got to be careful because that crossing the line at some point suddenly ends up meaning that somebody's going to decree, probably Prince Harrington, that you are to be disposed of. That, and quite frankly, that might also serve as a point to completely shatter this city, which hence the title, City of Glass.
Yep. Always on a razor's edge.
I'm just throwing that one out there, though. It's up to you guys. Oh, thank you very much, Kalista.
Yay.
But yeah, I think that works really well with the Chronicles or the Chronicle tenets and the idea of what we're currently running with.
Mm-hmm.
So the guilty need to be punished. Okay.
I'm throwing that out there. It's not. I haven't
Right.
wrote it down because I'm free to listen to anybody else who might have one.
My
Yes.
other thought
Okay.
was the one about respect, like show respect.
Yeah.
That can definitely work.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference between obeying authority and being respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good one that can work really
Trying
well in
to
the
doom me,
camera.
Coffee.
Which I would argue is kind of, actually, it's a good one because it works both in Anarch and Camarilla circles. Like, it really is
Yeah.
it's a tenet that works in both themes. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is that you are obligated to remain in some ways civil,
Yeah.
because if you don't, then something somewhere, some kind of enemy is going to figure out that that's something that happened, and they're going to take advantage of it. And you know, that is, it's kind of like the whole Camarilla. The whole reason the Camarilla exists as it is because if you're forced to be respectful, then you're forced to wrangle your beast in.
And it's a way to end up. It's one of those weird things where the Camarilla might have just this one thing right, where it's like, okay,
Right.
don't give the beast even the opportunity to do so. So
Right.
You don't egg me on, I won't egg you on, and neither one of us is going to be regretting the rest of the night.
Right. So with that sort of being the practical code of honor when it comes to kindred, that forces even fledglings to be mindful of their beast and how their beast is acting, because if you start to go down a path where you're not showing respect, you should probably just leave the room.
Fair?
For everybody's sake.
Okay. So we got a few on the table there. So what do you guys think?
I kind of like the respect angle, but one that I kind of want to throw in there is without a cause, you're nothing.
Ooh.
Ooh. 3 really good choices.
Mhm.
They are. And what do you guys think as far as these as players, right? Because I can throw up 3 at random and it affects me very, very little. You guys, on the other hand, these are the hurdles you're currently having to contend with at all times.
I think Lethalie's gonna hate the respect one.
Please,
I-
Lethality's
he's
ready
willing
to
to
play
play
in hard
around
mode.
it. Yeah, he can play in hard
I'm willing
He's
mode.
to
always
play
ready to
around
play
it.
in hard mode.
I'm willing to play around it, but I don't want to fuck over lethality too much. A tiny bit,
No.
but not too much.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not meant. It's not meant to, It's not meant for Susie to go against her character in that, being a sort of condescending bitch. That you can be a condescending bitch and still respectful.
Well, you got to remember, when it comes down to etiquette's really just the ability to tell somebody to go to hell and get them to ask you for directions.
Yeah.
True. Hmm.
Cause one is good too. We don't really have our own cause yet.
Yeah,
but
we
for
don't.
future, it could be.
Yeah, you guys kind of got shanghaied into this at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a cause particularly.
Yeah.
What page
That-
are these on?
Oh no, well, I mean, there are examples in the same area as the example convictions, but it's like a conviction in that you can come up with something on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just give a few examples, but if there's one that plays well to that's not listed in the book, you're free to end up making your own.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But the big thing, you want to end up being able to figure out what those chronicle tenets are, because these are effectively the rules. These are you break this, you start losing humanity.
Yep, these are the rules we're playing by.
And what these rules are drastically changes what kind of chronicle you're playing. Because,
Yeah,
for instance,
exactly.
if murder is perfectly fine, you have absolutely no qualms about draining a person dry, and you will never lose humanity. Because you can literally just drain him, throw the body in a dumpster, and move on.
Yeah, not for that offense, but there are others.
Yeah, but that's an example
murder's
of
a good one.
That's an example of if you know you can just feed on one person and kill them and walk away with no stains, then now you're incentivized to do so when you kill, right? And that works fantastic for a Sabbat Chronicle. But it doesn't work when you're playing a Camarilla or an Anarch one, right? And if you change it to "Thou shalt not kill the innocent," now you got a different story. Now, vengeance killing is perfectly acceptable, but you can't kill your food because, well, they're not
They're
involved in the
innocent all
game.
this.
They just happen to be your food source. So now the nature of the chronicle changes drastically depending on what your chronicle tenets are. And that's just an obvious one, right? About, okay, well, when it comes down to feeding, how much is this impacting us? Thou shalt not kill it literally says you have to keep a rein on your beast in some way, shape, or form.
And
so
that's why I made it just flat out. That's why I was suggesting just flat out, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
Because any
um,
killing could be a danger.
yeah. Whereas Lila, for instance, may have to end up figuring out a different way to laying the beast out. For instance, like saying that the very first roll, this is a frenzy check. Lila says, "I'm just going to ride the wave," and then they start to maul somebody. Then they say, "Okay, now I'm going to spend a willpower, pull it back, and look at him. I think I've made my point." You know?
Yeah.
So, like, they have to find that balancing act because, well, they didn't kill him, but a hospital or a lot of blood to heal is going to be the issue. And these things happen, right? This is kind of the idea when it comes down to it. So we got obey authority and thou shalt not kill. What's the third one that you think works really well? And again,
I'm torn between the guilty must suffer and the respect one.
It's like I said, you are a mix. You are a mixed coterie.
Yeah.
I think the guilty must suffer fits very, very well.
Yeah.
Especially since
Black Wolf I thought was gone, but came back and offered. I think
Wolf
we're
has
gonna,
a good one.
that last one is going to be it. Okay, protect the chunk.
The secret fourth tenant.
It's the secret fourth tenant.
It really is, though.
Chunk is always to be protected.
Yes. No matter where he goes.
Fucking Rashad.
Oh, are you kidding? Volva was in goddamn tears over her head, Chunk. I loved it.
It was fucking horrible.
It's horrifying. All right.
I can see both respect
Uncle
and
Chunk is great.
guilty.
But you feel that you're feeling the guilty must be punished?
Yeah, that's me. That's my where my lot is.
For me, as a character, I like the guilty one for Fishmonger specifically.
I like it for Fishmonger and Lila because it gives you guys a chance to cut loose.
Yeah.
Yes, but also...
That's also kind of why I was looking at the respect one, because it's, give respect to man respect.
Also,
that can kind of tie into it as well.
You kind of skews the guilty one. Kind of is more of a how do I say this? I feel like the respect one is more like a social navigation, and the guilty must be punished one will probably tend out to be, at least for Fishmonger, what I'm thinking is more a physical side.
I want to make sure, the best way I can put it is I want this to have some social bits, but with thou shalt not kill, I still want there to be but here's the clause. Here's the asterisk on the side, right? Here's that thing that allows you, because here's the simple thing. If you kill somebody, right? But it's on the order of a prince, and it goes into a conviction, I'll gladly knock that down from a 3 stain to a 1 stain. Right? Again, these help as well as hinder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, the idea of the guilty must be punished, that also kind of turns into you guys potentially looking at, well, maybe this Primogen is doing things that is actually compromising the whole point of us being here, because they won't end up operating with the Anarchs, or they're doing something to deal with these ex-Anarchs and hinder them in a way that doesn't align with Prince Harrington's supposed vision.
Yeah.
There's also the idea of an Anarch or an ex-Anarch who's actually still Anarch and is trying to end up, I'm going to break this from the inside, which now all of a sudden it's like, well, what do you do there, right? Well,
And the the guilty shall suffer also kind of opens that up to social the social characters as well, because
Yeah.
you can ruin somebody in court. Their head, you've never touched a hair on their head, but you could ruin somebody in court and that'd be punishment enough.
Also,
you can verbally
Yeah.
lambast
True.
them in front of the prince.
so that's I'm leaving it up
That
to you
does
open up
guys. But
I think
That's
guilty
where
shall
my-
suffer.
Yeah.
That's where my thought is. Also because of the fact that, just from a personal perspective, Susie is a stickler for the traditions, and for the masquerade especially. She's very good at using her skills to cover things up.
Yeah.
So, the guilty shall suffer is definitely a thing that will come up in that. Yeah, I've been watching you break the traditions over and over and over and over. You haven't been cleaning up after yourself. You're threatening the masquerade, and now I'm going to punish you for it.
okay, now
Well,
now I suddenly
what's
want to
the
end up seeing. Now I suddenly want to see Susie dressed up Sailor Moon outfit.
Coffee, you're up.
No, there's I think it works. I think those
think it
three
works,
works. And I'm keeping a coterie sheet specifically for you guys. But do take time to copy Obey Authority, Thou Shalt Not Kill, and The Guilty Shall Suffer, and put those in your Chronicle Tenants on your own character sheets, just so this way you got your own to look at. Now, that being said, our favorite part here. Okay? So we're going to...
Coterie dots.
Coterie dots. Now, I'm removing all the first dots there. So... there are going to be some limits here. There are going to be some heavy limits that I'm going to end up placing, but I'm also, because of those limits, I am going to end up making sure that there's a certain compensation. So right away, there is a merit, or not a merit, a background that everybody's going to end up receiving. We are going to start with everybody as status 1. Okay?
For the coterie.
For the
coterie,
coterie,
status
the
one.
coterie is a status 1 coterie. You are accepted right out of the gate, and this gives you placement above any prospects at this point. This is kind of fast tracked, and this is a huge gamble on Prince Harrington's position, right? So we want to end up keeping that in mind. Fill this in.
Okay.
Midnight Menagerie.
Oh, this is for the coterie, right? Not
Yeah.
for us as
Yeah.
characters. Okay.
So you individually have not earned this. It's just your association with the coterie that is giving you this. So
Right.
if you were to break off or something of the like, that status is forfeit. All right. Now, you are going to get a domain. But that domain cannot have Chase Lane or Portalon beyond 2. Okay, and here's the reason. It's a place that's out of the way. It is not going to be overtly contested. It's not going to be easy feeding, and believe it or not, one of the simplest tricks to keeping a coterie busy, make them so focused on having a feed that they can't end up doing anything else. It's a good way to tie their hands. So feeding is going to be incredibly difficult in that regard. Now, that being said, that includes anything that could constitute as a bonus to feeding, such as herd, for instance. So herd will not be able to end up going beyond 2. The whole point is to end up keeping you guys kind of blood choked at this point, which builds a certain degree of maybe you don't want to go off to war right away. And plus side, It keeps you here nice and secluded in that regard, outside of particular events where you're to be shown off to the rest of the court. This is not meant to be a easy ride, ladies and gentlemen. So, that being said, everybody gets 1 dot. Since we do have 6 players now, I'm not going to end up, there's not going to be any bonus dots to it, but you, outside of the 1 status you get by default. So,
I have a leftover dot from character creation, and I already know what would like to
okay.
add to the.
So you already start off
Main.
with 6 dots because we have here. So you're running to build it up to 7 by giving up a dot. Okay.
Well, I would like to buy, if I can, the Haven Merit Postern.
Okay, so you're going to grab 1. So Haven and then Postern. So that's 2 dots minimum, if I recall.
Oh, 2 dots.
Well, you need a Haven first, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Oh, in that case, I might take away my no Haven flaw for myself. And,
Up to you. Or you can donate it to the coterie. Like, you can literally say, here's all the dots I'm donating to add this to the coterie. It's basically you giving a resource for the rest of the coterie. Now, common thing is the coterie house or the or local bar or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Could
I just wanted an entrance to the sewers nearby,
That's understandable.
pretty much.
Volvo, what were you about to say?
Could I give up my 1 dot Haven and donate it to the coterie?
You absolutely
We're not
could.
even at that point yet. We
Right.
have 6 dots in total.
Yeah, you guys have 6 dots in total right now, so maybe we should get those on before we get to donations.
Okay, yeah.
So, and understand, right
Sounds
now
smart.
you guys don't even have a domain, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
we
guys,
should probably build a domain.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you wanted to, you could end up spending all 6 to go 2-2-2, which would give you an even spread. It's a good start. Or you could end up choosing another way. But again, the hardest part about this, and it's meant to be restrictive, is that you can only have a maximum of 2 dots in Chase, Lane, and Portland. So total 6 dots in all of them.
What do all 3 of those mean?
Okay, fantastic question. Chase, long story short, how stocked is the pond? At 1 dot, or at no dots, Chase, you don't have a domain that can even feed you. No matter how long you hunt that night, you're not going to be able to feed. Got a 1 dot, Chase? Congratulations. I need 6+ on a hunting roll in order to feed. At Chase 2, it drops to 5. 4, 3,
And that's
and
our
2.
max.
And your maximum is there. So, yeah, you're going to need a 5+ just to feed. This is not easy feeding. In fact, you're scrounging in that regard.
Oh, just from a gamer perspective, I'd say our max is 2.
Yep.
So I would put 2 in every one. So that's our max.
Well, Chase would definitely make sense. Port along
Chase makes
Lane,
sense, yeah.
though, you could argue that you guys just got this domain, so you really don't know it well enough to go. But I would definitely say that 2 Chase would definitely be the first choice I would make.
That's
Yeah,
definitely the choice I would make.
Two Chase is a good idea.
What is Portalo and Lane?
So,
So lane is how connected you are in the domain, like how well you know it, how well you know the people, and that sort of stuff. And Portalon is how protected the domain is, how secure it is from outside interference. Given the tech heads in the coterie, I could like try and make a push for Portalon 1. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can definitely see that. So you guys think the third
Portalon
dot out of
1,
the
Lane
6
1?
is going to be Portalon?
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah, I think
sense.
Portalon 1. Lane, we're not connected. I would leave lane at 0.
Oh, 0 dots. Okay.
Alright. And just to be clear here, just so you know, there is a coterie sheet. I'm doing your suggestion this round, and there is a sheet specifically built for coterie. Nobody here.
Oh, lovely.
So it is right under the Chronicle Primer.
Perfect. Aha.
What are the things you can add to Haven Domain that wasn't described? So right now we're still adding it. So they still got 3 dots to play around with. So if they wanted to, they could throw all 3 into, hey, we are putting this all into Haven. We're grabbing a really large Haven. What is this Haven? Well, maybe it's an entire apartment block. Maybe it's a home that was donated by one of the members of the Camarilla in good faith. But in order to offer what they need, but now all of a sudden ends up turning to an issue a little bit later on. If they wanted to, they can end up pumping that all into a personal mansion if they wanted to. It's really on them. But what they choose to end up doing, that's really on the coterie. So, we got 3 dots left.
I would say at least one dot in Haven would be nice.
1 dot still like a box or a storage locker, but yeah, it is a place where you can end up going.
I'll donate my dot to make it a 2.
Let's not jump to donating right now. We're still have 3 dots to spend that are floating before we even get to donation. So
Yeah.
Get that down, and then you can end up donating dots, and now you know what you're actually building upon, right?
I think maybe at this point we should try to decide, like, where are we, in a house or an apartment, like Derek said, or I imagined, because of the picture in Roll20, that we were in a hotel almost.
Hotels can be tricky, but they can work.
That would help us figure out, what size Haven.
I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at least one Haven, because looking at my sheet, Summer doesn't exactly have a place. Not readily available. She has 1 dot resources which she could use, but
So if we end up taking 1 Haven, right, and knowing my luck, all right. So if we go to, just so we're all on the same page, backgrounds, there we go. So base Haven, dot 1 is small Haven, but more secure and private. Maybe a basement apartment, a crypt, a locked storage room, and a warehouse, that kind of thing. So that's not a lot of room to pack 6 people, but it's there.
Yeah.
For size, do merits and flaws we add on count towards the size?
I will treat it as such, like as though it was character creation. Yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking if we add something like a library to a basement apartment, it's going to need to be a little.
Right now, you only have 4 dots spent, so you still have 2
Yes.
more before we even start to buy in extra stuff.
I think another dot should be spent to boost size. Because a small Haven won't necessarily fit the entire.
2 is
Yeah,
good size,
yeah.
security, privacy, single family home or a row house, wolf enclosure at the zoo, branch of sewer tunnel.
We're the menagerie. Maybe we're in the zoo. I don't know.
yeah, 2 dot Haven is definitely kind of where I was thinking that
Yeah.
we should
Yeah,
have at
that's
least
fair.
that, because this way we have like emergency sleeping space for all of us, but also could use it potentially if we wanted to to somewhere else in the domain for us to have meeting spots and things like that. Safe meeting spots.
Well, that brings up another thing. Would it be interesting to have a kind of like a Alistair type figure, like a retainer, who's connected to the Haven, but is also there to keep an eye on us? You know, just to make sure we're not left completely alone to our devices.
A 1-dot retainer.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I can
But
see
he's
that
also,
happening.
you know, he does
know,
stuff
what-
for us too.
He does stuff
He's-
for
he
you, but he's
reports back.
also
Yeah.
also probably on loan from a member of the Camarilla,
Yeah.
specifically to
Mhm.
do so. So
Right. He doesn't do a whole lot for us. That's why he's only a 1-dot for us. He
Yeah.
might be somebody else's retainer on loan.
Mhm.
So they still do have to occasionally answer to them.
okay,
So 2-dot chase, 2-dot haven, 1-dot retainer. Is that what we're at so far?
Yeah.
Yep. 2 dot. So that spends all your dots right now. So now I would say is a good time to start discussing, well, any expenditures. But I'm gonna end up saying we're gonna go on a quick little break because we have been going at this for almost 2.5 hours now. So let's just go grab a quick drink, go to the washroom, do what needs to be done, and we will be back, ladies and gentlemen, to finish off the session 0 of San Jose by Night, City of Glass. I do love that that logo. Be right back, everybody. And ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Sorry about the wait. So, we just ended up finishing up with all of the coterie dots that came by default. Now we still gotta deal with a few expenditures, as a few coterie members have decided to end up sacrificing some of their background dots and merits to help bolster the coterie. Now, we are playing under some very unusual rules in this, in that for their domain, they cannot put more than 2 in any of their categories of Chase, Lane, and Portland. Oh, please, Mizui. I scare the shit out of everybody.
What?
That's a point of pride when I'm here. So, welcome.
It's good for when you're constipated.
Well, we'll fix that problem. All right. So, when it comes down to these additional dots, I know Doc Saturday has offered a few. So, what's going on, Doc?
So, I was thinking.
Don't do that too hard. You might hurt yourself.
Huh?
I am willing to forego all my dots and resources and put it towards coterie.
Ooh, big spender. Okay.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Well, how many dots is that?
4.
4 dots resources?
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
It's a way to make sure the machine keeps going.
hmm.
Well, since it's your donation, where do you want to spend it?
I assume these resources are tied to our domain.
Yep.
Yep, which means he's
Yes.
investing in the domain, pretty much.
There is construction crews around the day. As long as
I
like,
am investing.
yeah, we
All
will-
4 dots goes to 4 dots resources for the coterie.
Damn. Okay. Well, no one's living poor
Right.
tonight.
We're living luxurious.
That just makes me think, because like I have 3 dots resources because unfortunately my hobbies ain't cheap.
Yeah.
And my modus operandi ain't cheap.
True.
I'm gonna donate those to the coterie.
All 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because then having access to
Um.
the entire shared pool.
So where are we donating these 3 dots?
They are resource dots, so they'll be going into resources as well.
So we're going above and beyond.
Oh, we have
right?
4.
Yes, we already
Yeah.
have 4.
Yeah, we're going above and beyond.
Because at 5 we kind of capped out. You know, like at that point,
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 is the cap, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
like if anything
Ten
past
is
that
fine.
becomes
I'll
kind of
donate-
redundant.
5.
Then I'll donate 1 and keep 2.
Okay. So money will
Holy
never be
shit.
an issue for any of you at any given point. Just don't be too loud about it. Is the best way I can put it.
Mm.
Is remember, while these are resources, covering this kind of trail is tricky.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
Rashad had a reason to be able to cover those expenditures. You guys, on the other hand, might be a little bit tricky given some of your vocations, shall we say?
Mhm.
I can cover like I can cover like large expenditures on like chemicals and other things like that. That I can cover.
So,
But
yeah,
you know.
but you get what I'm saying. If you guys decide to end up buying a fleet of limousines, there's going to be some questions,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? So if it was tied to one entity, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with. But the fact that it's being split amongst multiple, that now it's like, okay, well, what's going on here? Because this needs a cover of some kind. at that
Yeah, we
point.
need a cover story for the wealth.
Yes.
Like,
I think
are we involved in a hedge fund or something?
Well, understand that the Camarilla, it has like probably thousands of individuals with 5 dots resources spread across the planet, so it wouldn't be a shock. Like this, monetary
Yeah.
rewards is kind of the lowest portion of power,
yeah.
but it's not insignificant, especially when you're first starting out.
Well, I think the best way to put it is that whilst our domain isn't like the most well secured, and it's not, the most populous with people,
Mhm.
but maybe it's a hub of industry.
I got a way to do this actually, which
All
would
right.
which would end up
Okay.
tying in. Boost your haven to 3 and put the rest in. And the reason being is that perhaps this was a mansion that was quote unquote donated. It's one of those older locations in the city, probably way back when, maybe even considered a little bit of a historical site. But now, if anybody knows the details of mansions are less of a home and more of a small business unto themselves,
That's true.
which
Yeah.
allows you to cover a large portion of those resources, gives you a lot of room to expand into various havens, and I think would be a fun little bit of culture shock for a few members of the coterie, especially Summer. Where it's like, yeah, this is your standard. Wait, what?
Sorry, what?
But
This is the Ventru summer home. Get it?
Well-
Get it?
yeah, this is terrible. Terrible. Somebody spray him with a squirt bottle. But the reason that's so few people ends up coming down to maybe this is a small district that is fallen out of favor, or historically the town was one place, but as industry and all that moved, Silicon Valley and all that started to shift the town, so now there's fewer people living in that location. So that can definitely end up playing into it. You could also just as well use potential additional contacts, maybe something gifted to you by the prince to kind of get you started, or at the very least to keep your attention away from being a pain in the ass.
So in the dots that have been donated, have those been assigned already? Then
We have 1 dot was offered by Susie, 4 dots was offered by Doc. So
and that's
assigned to resources.
Yeah. Then Summer would be willing to donate a dot of resources because I'm a 1 dot resource. In change that to add security.
okay.
So I no longer have a resource, but we have security
Haven has
in Portal.
Oh, you're
I was
doing
thinking
Portal?
Portalon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I'll
we do have
offer
Portal
1 dot of Haven to the coterie. Why not?
Okay.
All right.
Where are you stripping that from?
From my 2 dot Haven, turning it to a 1 dot Haven.
Okay, so you got a small place you can end up hiding out. That's your own personal panic room situation.
Summer
And
does not have that.
sometimes you need it.
Summer does not have that right now.
Anything else, or does that about cover it?
I think I would still like to buy that postern now.
Okay. So what are you sacrificing for that?
I actually had a leftover dot. I will put in 6,
Okay.
so I'll just use that to buy it.
You have a postern there. Okay. So fairly well-rounded character sheet.
Escape route.
So if we
Which
have a
makes
mansion,
sense for a
we have
mansion,
pretty big
too.
mansion that has pretty good security and has postern exit.
Well, you got to remember the security of the haven is different from the security of the domain.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I meant the domain was pretty secure, and
Yeah.
in as much as we can make it.
Nope, that's fair. All right, and I'll flesh that out. You got to remember, it's not always a one-to-one. We can the World of Darkness version of San Jose might be drastically different from the one that is, found in here real life. There might be elements that are similar, but there are certain things that are exaggerated.
It is an alternate universe.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. Hey, Black Wolf, I do like that. Okay, so think that settles that. So, are there any big things I'm missing right now? So we gotta do coterie here. We gotta do coterie illustrations, key figures.
Adversaries and enemies.
Adversaries and enemies are going to be something I think we're going to end up probably spending a little bit more time on a little bit later. I want to end up just getting everybody situated, but we will end up tapping into that. I think it's something I would like to be able to end up tapping to each of you individually as time allows, because I don't want to lay everything on the board, but it gives me a solid foundation to work with. Now, is there any questions you guys have for me?
No, I think that we have a pretty solid foundation, pretty good start.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're pretty lucky to be 5 resources.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly
Yeah.
huge. But then again, that could be easily explained away on Welcome to the Camarilla.
Yeah.
That you're like, this is $5 resources. Camarilla, that's chump change.
Right.
Like,
There's probably a lot of strings attached to this.
oh yeah, absolutely. But
Absolutely. Well,
it
sleep.
gives
Summer sleeps at the coterie house.
the Coterie Mansion. Yeah, don't mind me. It's a small mansion. It kind of reminds me when I was guest appearing on While Seattle Sleeps, and all of a sudden I had to end up explaining to the Coterie, yeah, this is more my summer home. While I'm playing Miller. They're, wait, what? Yeah, this entire compound, this is a summer vacay for me. How?
Yep.
But-
It is a bit of a shock for Summer to have that much resources at her disposal.
Well, that's half the fun, right? Is trying to end up figuring out, like,
Yeah.
some people do not deal with wealth well. Ask a lottery winner. But you also have individuals. Acer's face during that. Yeah.
Yes. That made it.
Yeah, but there are moments where we can end up having to play around, and this is part of Fish Out of Water, right? And
Yeah.
for all your gripes about, I can't believe I'm dead, I can't believe you killed me. What the hell is this? This is your new home. Are you serious?
Okay.
I can live with this.
That-
This would be
makes
a
up for
culture
it.
shock for Elliot. That's for damn sure.
Now, I can
Yeah, it'd be a bit of one for Lila too.
I can unlive with this. Okay. Is there any questions from the audience that they would like to end up asking about what we're here currently situating or anything like that? So I want to end up making sure, after all, this is one of the few times, and for those who may be new to me running this, I don't interact with the chat because I very much feel that my players need to take precedent. I need to focus on them. They need to focus on the story. We want to share the story with you, but I am big on trying not to end up doing out-of-character distractions. So as goofy as some of this ends up turning into here, I typically try and keep it serious and straightforward during the game. No take-backs. Yeah. Mr. Motherfucking Seraph. Yeah. Put some respect on it. Some people handle wealth well, some people don't handle wealth well, and then you have Mr. Seraph, who doesn't even remember he has wealth.
Yeah, as well.
Mr. Motherfucking Seraph, according to Derek.
Yes, Rashad motherfucking Sarah. Put some respect on his name.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Black Wolf. You actually reminded me of something. So there is something I need to discuss. Okay. And that comes down to how we have been voting for experience the last few Chronicles. And the reason that idea works incredibly well is specifically because of a small cast. All right? Now, if you do the math on it, and do that same thing with 6 players, it actually becomes more of an issue. Because you're actually going to be developing it slower than you would if we ended up following just the typical VTM game. Right? So, yes, I did keep that in mind when I was initially building the system. But when it comes down to 6 players, that spreads the experience very, very thin. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. I love the interaction. I want to end up seeing if we can end up finding some way to end up doing the interaction. But I'm going to end up saying that right now what I'm proposing is 1 dot play a week, additional dot at the conclusion of any small arc, which goes back to kind of your bread and bones basics, which also ends up meaning that incentive is to close arcs quickly and to stay focused on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to end up hearing some thoughts from you guys, and I would like to end up hearing maybe there is a way we can involve the chat, because I do love the voting system, if only on the fact that it ends up giving the audience a chance to participate in that regard. But it would require us putting together a different style of poll, which I don't think we would be able to add channel points to because of the...
No, yeah. Those bots don't have that kind of integration most of the time.
Nope,
I mean,
there's
they
no way
do, but
to
it's
say
their
anything.
own points. It's not Twitch channel points.
Yeah.
One for completing your one I like to do is 1 XP for completing Desire. My biggest issue with Complete Desire is, and this is just because the way I use Desire, I usually end up saying use your Desire as kind of like a baby step to get you just that 1 step forward. I purposely baby step it, so I keep progress constantly moving, regardless, rather than here's a large arc and now it's like, oh, how can I make this happen? Well, it's not a hard thing to have that small thing happen, but I don't want to end up making it so that it's compounding, because if you end up doing that well, it basically means everybody's at 2 experience a night and then 3, and that actually is almost doubling the experience they would have gotten previously. So, but it might have some merit. I'm just thinking it through.
Maybe not desire, but working towards ambition XP. 1 XP if you can show you worked towards your ambition, because that's a bit harder to do. It keeps the same sort of thing in mind, but it's a little bit harder to do. And
I would agree to that, if only for with one caveat, which is I cannot second guess it. If I am even remotely second guessing that, like you're kind of stretching it even the tiniest bit, then I have to say no. Just because, again, look, we're playing vampires. Vampires abuse systems and situations all the time. Let's just presume. Let's just presume that that's the case, and we're gonna run with it, right? Let's see here. Basically, what Coffee did for Rebirth. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I like that. I just would like to end up being able to involve channel points if possible, but I guess that's not really a possibility right now. So Black Wolf, maybe we got to set together a bot, because I do like the audience XP. And I would almost want to say I would like it to be the top 2, just because of 6 players.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense to me in that regard. What I'm also going to have to work on directly below me is going to be the illustrations, a kind of slideshow that is not just going to be illustrations, but also going to be small synopsis of the situation. So most of the information is going to be down there. What we're not going to be showing is roles and all that. I will be showcasing like NPC portraits and all that to the players on Roll20. But the one thing I won't end up having is the Roll20 showcasing this time, and that's bluntly because we got 6 or 7 people on screen right now, and I'd like to be able to use that real estate visually as much as possible to showcase their lovely faces as they end up deciding to play their characters. So we'll end up working that out, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on how we might want to try XP, because my default is to go back to Vampire's traditional system, which is a little slower, but because we have 6 players, you really have so many more options. You are able to work with a larger group, which gives you actually a lot more power. So there's really no reason to end up being able to rush that. That being said, I'm also tempted to end up saying if we do go back to it, I might consider going back to the system of offering like dots of, yeah, you guys get status 2. No XP cost, just bang, there it is. Which supplements a lower experience pool. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
In-character reasons for things to pop up on sheets.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be, which seems more amenable, I guess? More frequent experience gains, or slightly bigger experience gains, but at the same frequency?
Well, I'm not so concerned about experience to the point where I'm paranoid about it. Just because of how VTM scales with its experience costs. My number one concern, more than anything, is that like 3 sessions, if you just play 3 sessions, you have enough to put a background or a specialty, right? Which is an increase in power, but or an increase in capability. And that's really good if you're kind of like me as a player where I kind of nickel and dime this stuff. But if you're looking for like big, hey, I just want more powers, I want to end up playing with more disciplines, you know, you might have to spend 15 sessions for a single dot because you're not completing the longer term goals. And that, I kind of feel bad when that happens. I don't want that to be the player case of their development slowed to a crawl. I know that Volvo has a problem with spending experience up until the last minute, but
Me too, sometimes.
I've been guilty of that.
Every damn time.
you know,
So, a suggestion that they give actually in the V5 book and that I think might work is that the kind of attendance experience, you could bump it up from a 1 to a 2, because it's such a large game. So the people that do show up, hopefully all 6 show up, you know, every week to get it. But it would definitely give you a little more of a buffer.
it might be, but I'm a little, again, like if I did that, and again, like the weird part for the power balancing here is the fact that normally I play with 3, 4 usually max. This is the first time I'm playing with 6.
Okay, then let's have a discussion around the table as to who is going to be more of a discipline getter in this game, if anyone is. Because if you're not, then I think the regular way that we have been doing it scales perfectly fine. But anyone who is going to be a kind of a discipline getter, like you said, would be at a disadvantage because they'd have to wait so long.
It's where I'm mixed feelings. I'm very mixed feelings about all of it.
All I can say is, Keys, you poor bastard. You unfortunate. You have the real unfortunate thing of one of your major things is a time sink. in a big way, and that's rituals.
Mhm.
Yes.
Did you have a look at how long it takes to learn a ritual?
2 weeks to a month, I believe.
Nope. Square of the ritual's level in weeks. So level 1
that's
will
what
take
it's-
you 1 week. Level 2 will take you a month. Level 3 takes you closer to 2 months and a week.
Mm.
Level 4 will take you literally 4 months. And level 5, well, if you have the ability to learn a level 5 ritual at all, it will take you half a year to learn.
And that's going in
In-game
character by the book.
Mm.
So, I'm just going to end up placing this as a thought. I wanted to get your opinions on it because one thing obviously I don't want it to be, hey, like, 10 experience every single session for showing up, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But I also don't want it to be a case of, because if we did this traditional
30 sessions.
Yeah.
Deal with not growing. I would say two is actually like if we go 2 for showing up, it sets it's a faster pace than what we're used to, but it's not so fast that it's absurd.
Ridiculous.
And
Also, to just clear up that the raising 1 to 2 is only for the attendance XP. The other votings are all still only 1 XP.
So that's
That-
something.
I want to propose something, actually. I want to propose something.
okay.
Okay.
What if we were to do, because I'd like to keep it competitive. You guys, are you able to end up making a scene? Do you have the best line? All this, I love that because it forces players to kind of try and one up themselves and really get into it, right? So what if I did that, except instead we did it as a poll? And Black Wolf, I'm going to have to ask, is this possible? What if we did a poll? But it was always the top 3 that ended up getting 2 experience. So everybody gets 1 as a baseline, but the audience vote gets 2. Gives 2, and it's the top 3 out of that choice.
with no
like
cast member deliberation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find a way to balance it up, because if we did it the
The
way
only
we
problem with that is Twitch polls don't allow for 6 entries.
Black Wolf says he's got a way to run that, which he does in Rebirth.
Those polls typically don't get the same kind of numbers.
Fair enough. No, it's actually
Because
this is
anytime
why I
that I've
wanted to
used it
talk,
for
right?
Rebirth- Anytime I've used it for Rebirth, I get 1 vote. Ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get
So
Yeah, and
Those-
I can pretty much name the one vote who.
that. All right,
the
all
one
right.
person who votes.
Let's think this through then. Okay. If you guys want, I will continue to do it the same way we've traditionally done it. Just know that my hesitation mostly stems from the fact that it's going to be a slower burn for a few people. I don't know who that person's going to be, but just because there's more people sharing the same amount, that'll be a problem, but I will see if I can adjust it accordingly. If that's what you want to do.
I've always enjoyed the way things have been.
Yeah.
And I don't intend for Summer to be much of a discipline grabber.
Okay. I just wanted to lay that out there because we're
Yeah.
spreading the same amount of points over a larger cast.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
So I'm hoping that
like-
makes sense as a concern.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that I've had it would work is just you boost the base attendance from 1 to 2 because that'll cover a more equal point of progression, right, across everyone,
All right.
and then have the votes as we have,
From the cast.
and have each of the from the cast and
I'm
from
still
the audience as well,
listening. I
have-
just heard my cat get into something, but go ahead.
That's fine. Have each of the votes as they were from us and the audience vote, and have each of those be 1. Because, worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario is because we need to consider this at its very slowest, where someone gets 2, and we need to consider it at its fastest, where someone gets all the votes. In that case, it would be 6, because you have
Alright, the audience vote.
with the audience as well.
Yeah.
Now that's uncommon, but considered like that's the fastest, the
Someone
most
could
amount of
progress,
XP
yeah.
that anyone could
Yeah.
earn.
Yeah,
In a
6
session.
is quite a lot for one session.
6 is a lot, but remember that's also the most uncommon. That's the most uncommon factor. So that's a
When
that's a thing to
normally the
consider.
fastest is 5 when the one person
Yeah,
kind of
the
sweeps
fast-
it.
Yeah, the fastest
Yeah.
is 5.
Yeah.
And 5 is a 1 dot in an in-clan discipline. 6
Mhm.
goes to what? You could buy the second dot in a skill. It's a discipline, 1 dot in an in-clan. The first dot of an in-clan discipline in 1, 2 dots in a background. Like 2 dots in like advantages or backgrounds or whatever. So my thought would be, when we average that out, it averages out to 4. Versus 3.
Yeah.
It averages out to 4.
For a single person to walk away with 4. Yeah.
Or at least that's more. That's
On
rather that's the
average.
midpoint. That's the
Yeah.
midpoint is 4.
The midpoint. Yeah.
I mean, I think that works
Yeah.
fine.
The average is probably closer to like 3, but 4 is about the is about the midpoint, and that to me seems like it's still a little faster than usual, but for a larger cast, having a slightly faster XP progression is
For,
definitely isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
For as many people as we have, it works itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it
average
does.
works out to 3 or 4.
Mm.
Exactly.
So
Not to
I
mention-
definitely vote for that.
And per session total 6 by
yeah,
2
'cause
is 12.
The midpoint was 3 before.
16.
So.
All right.
16 with the average, 16 over 6.
Hmm.
And the average per session total is 2.6, so 3. The average is about per person is about 3 per session.
I
So-
think Black Wolf's onto something here. I think Black Wolf's
Oh?
onto something. I was listening. I think you've assuaged a lot of my worries, lethality. Do as we usually do, but then end up here. Now here's the question: do I compound it or do I try and spread it out? So, what we could do is 3. Well, if somebody doesn't show up, that's an issue. But I kind of like the idea that three people by the cast get chosen, that they're the ones who are currently in the voting for the audience fate. Like, so you guys get to choose who goes on that block, but the audience gets to choose from that pool who gets the experience.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I like
interesting.
that.
You
I
know?
like that.
So it's kind of one of those, maybe you think somebody
Put us
did
up on
put
the
it in.
chopping block kind of thing.
Yeah, but it also means, hey, I think that this person gave a good performance, but they couldn't snag any 3 of them. So you know what? I'm going to give you a chance with the audience. I'm going to let them decide your fate. Or it could be, I really like what you did. I think you went way above and beyond today. So I'm going to reward that by saying, hey, you get a chance at the audience XP tonight. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like
Keys, because you're new, I need you to understand this. Okay, because the reason we did this kind of system beforehand, and I've been clear about this, the whole point is that it's a bunch of underhanded interplayer politicking, effectively, right? Sometimes you will vote exactly how you think it should. Other times, you might skew that vote in favor of somebody else. It is literally meant to end up playing off of the very nature of Vampire. Okay? So
there's
you
been
I
nights
knew that
where like
coming
I'll
into
give the
this,
first
so
vote to
you're
this
good.
person, second vote to that person, so that when I nominate myself for the third vote, they'll be more inclined to pick me.
yeah, yeah. Like it's that was actually what I found was hilarious. Was a lot of people ended up saying that as a criticism. Like, well, isn't it unfair? I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point. We are literally using the method, the very point of Vampire as a voting system for experience.
And I love it. I incorporate it into my games
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I used it. When I ran Brisbane, I used it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's actually surprisingly straightforward. It's like, wow, there's no political shenanigans going on here.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Mojo was running
Politics is
Denver, he was
easy.
doing the same thing.
Huh. This is a strange feeling. Pride in someone else.
That's what I'm here for. I
All right.
knew this coming in, and that's what I'm here for.
Okay, I'm giving you a heads up because that sounds great up until you get the short end of the stick.
Oh, we played the
Oh,
game.
I'm expecting to get the short end of the stick, but just because you get the short end of the stick doesn't mean you can't leverage.
Doesn't mean you don't get the full shaft. I mean, wait, what?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So if that's cleared up, so I'll run it as usual then, but and I'm going to probably need a reminder out of habit on this. But the idea that
favorite a little bit differently.
Yeah. So it would be the same situation. 2 experience for showing up, then 3 core categories. So again, because I do want to reward the people putting in the effort, the people who really shine, if you make a scene, if you made the entire goddamn night for everybody, I want you to be rewarded from that, and I want to end up going with it. But then the last one, where instead of putting everybody in the poll, literally cutting it down to 3 people. So half the cast gets on that list based on your choices, and then who it ends up going to. So again, it's built to be that out of character political shenanigery.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think Volvo did all that well, but like, god damn it, he's having a rough day. I feel bad for him. I'm gonna make Doc get on that list. My vote goes to Doc. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Doc get on that list. So, that kind of shit can happen. The other shit is, I really do believe that you should be rewarded further for this, so I'm gonna throw you on the block. But again, it goes to the audience. And this will also facilitate still being able to use channel points and all that, but it's going to be focused entirely down on that regard. Okay. Make sense?
I like it.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
With 2 for showing up being the baseline.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And we're still kind of
That's
toying
average
around
as out.
because, again, this is an unusual player count for me.
Yeah,
So.
it still averages out to about 3 or 4 per session.
Yeah.
For each individual. So
Yeah.
Yep. So it's, as I said, given the number of people, it averages out to about the same.
Mhm.
So adding that additional XP in there, like, yeah, you might have someone, instead of it taking 20 sessions for a 4th discipline, it might take 10.
Yeah.
But even then, like, that's still 10 sessions of saving
7 Monday.
at a minimum 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of disciplines, I do want to explore Obfuscate. And I also want to have it woven into scenes with the Sire in the
Okay.
future.
All right. So, any other tidbits we need to end up covering at this point?
Nothing housekeeping wise, although I do have a question.
By all means.
What kind of obfuscate route are you thinking? Are you thinking like hiding, or are you thinking like Mask of 1,000 Faces?
That's a very good question. I feel like it will depend on the arc he goes through,
Mm-hmm.
whether he decides to completely cut himself off from his humanity, then he'll go into the hiding route. if he decides that, you know, keeping
He
in
wants to
touch with
blend
his
in where he
family is
can.
more important, he might go masks and try to be more involved with them. So, but either way, I want to,
Yeah,
you know,
because
get
Master of
into
a Thousand
that.
Faces gives you a generic person who blends in, sort of a look.
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, as of right now, Susie is an obfuscate specialist. Ghosted in the machine. I am the static.
Yeah. I think Doc's gonna be going down the Protean route.
Vicissitude?
Oh yeah.
Dude, you don't pick
Oh, yeah.
Zamesi without doing vicissitude, okay? That's like literally
Unless you're
what...
Whole
Veronica.
point. It's like
Veronica
taking a
was more of a-
Tremere and not doing blood sorcery.
True.
Actually,
Might
It's-
either
it's-
go down
I always go
aspect
against type.
or continue that blood sorcery.
It is true, Coffee. You always go against type.
well, I would say with Zamisi, there is one way to do Zamisi without vicissitude.
Yeah, but Khaldun sorcery hasn't been introduced yet.
No, not that. No, one with the earth.
Fair.
But Veronica did.
Veronica
Yeah.
definitely did.
You run one, but instead of doing the vicissitude stuff, you go like
You focus
earth
on
meld.
Protean, actually.
Yeah, you go like actual Protean powers, and you kind of fancy yourself as old clan, quote unquote.
Mhm.
I've done that with
Alright.
NPCs anyway.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, let us... I think it covers all the bases. Is there any questions from the chat or anything like that?
One more thing.
Shoot.
We should name our retainer.
Yeah, we should probably get that out of the way right now.
Yeah.
So who is this retainer?
Name our
Punk.
little
What?
Punk?
Our babysitter.
Punk.
Name him
Jeeves.
Derek.
punk. It's
Derek.
What? Meow.
hunks.
Maybe.
No, kitty. Hunks and chunks.
Meow.
Hunk is Chunk's twin brother. So I mean, good.
True.
We have Chunk's twin
You're right.
brother as our retainer.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
Well, you know, I have a brother in the police force, and he's, I am working security a bit, but, you know, family drama just kind of divide the whole family apart. It's just one of those weird things, you know.
Oh my fucking god, I love it already!
Fucking Black Wolf says Brian Wilson, you can call him BW.
I know how badly you want that cameo, BW. I know how badly you want that cameo.
I'm okay with Chunk.
I like the Brian Wilson.
No,
I
it's
like
Chunk's
both
twin
Chunk
brother.
and Brian Wilson.
You know what? Because he always wanted it, and it never happens. We'll go with Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson!
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Hell
Because honestly, I feel like I need to... Chunk needs to be something special. Like, he needs to be unexpected
Yeah.
and like, where? This is where you've been? Because he's always been kind of the Where's Waldo of our vampire games, right? Like, where is he?
Yeah.
That's true.
You can't start with him by default. I mean, that's cheating.
Yeah, and that being said, you know, like he just came back from a long trip, and he's coming back from Seattle, so.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Still working surf securities.
Oh, he probably is. He's just an inside man at this point. But it's funny. So
Yeah.
that being said, I think that concludes everything we're going to need. So I am... You know what? Our normal raids for the evening are not in tonight. So I think we gotta end up celebrating with a good friend of the channel. And just to be clear, when we come in, I just need you guys to say one thing and one thing only as soon as we go in. As you spam those raid emotes. Fuck you, Inares. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It is an honorary greeting. You will see what I mean when we get there. Alright. Ladies and gents, we're going to end up watching Inares bring in the new year by slaughtering a bunch of rat people in Vermintide. Everybody, thank you very much for showing up, and we will begin San Jose by Night, City of Glass next week. Say goodnight, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Ciao.
The fuck did I sign on for?